was out with my family enjoying the afternoon when all of a sudden, a random parent came up to me with their kid and shamed me, saying,
"How dare you promote such extreme skinniness? You should be ashamed of yourself."
I didn't know how to react. All I could do was stay quiet and put my head down. It was like I couldn't even see the same person anymore. I didn't know who I had become. As a kid, I was considered small for my height, and no matter how much I ate, I would never gain any weight. It never bothered me though, because I was pretty healthy. I mean, there were times when I would get really bad stomach aches that would cause me to throw up or have diarrhea. But I never thought it was a big deal because it would happen randomly. For instance, I would eat something super greasy, like a cheeseburger, and be totally fine. And then the next day, I would eat something healthy and be sick. I didn't think much of it at the time. My mom was also a nurse and knew many different types of food allergies and thought maybe I was just allergic to something. So she tried to make sure that I ate lots of clean food. My dad, on the other hand, well, he always believed that I was faking my stomach aches just so I could get out of 6th grade. I don't blame him though, because at the time, some of my classmates were making fun of me, saying that my bones were sticking out grossly. But I didn't let it affect me because I knew I was healthy, and my weight wasn't even that bad. My mom finally had enough and tested me for food allergies. But they all came back negative. Even the doctors couldn't give me an answer to what was wrong with me. The pain only got worse as I entered high school, to the point where I had to be rushed to the hospital. It was there I found out I had ovarian cysts and was put on hormones to control them. Still, that wasn't the answer to my problems, and my weight only lessened. My classmates didn't understand what was wrong with me, so they caused a lot of rumors to spread, mainly about my eating issues and my weight. At one point, it got so bad that I lost so much weight too quickly that even I started to believe the rumors that maybe I do have eating issues. But I knew I ate well, and I never restricted myself from anything. All I had was these stomach pains. During my freshman year of college, I began cooking for myself, thinking it would help control my issues and solve my problems. But I was wrong. Halfway through my first semester, I had the most painful stomach cramps I had ever experienced. I laid there in agony until I passed out from the exhaustion and ended up missing most of my classes because I couldn't get out of bed. It got so bad that I started to constantly throw up and have diarrhea like I never had before. Within 2 weeks, I managed to lose nearly 30 pounds and knew I needed medical attention. I took some medications to help numb the pain and grabbed my belongings and drove home. As soon as my mom saw me, we rushed straight to the hospital. This time, we met with a gastroenterologist, a specialized doctor that studies the digestive system. As I explained my symptoms, the doctor had a pretty clear idea of what was wrong, but wanted to confirm everything. So he scheduled me to have a colonoscopy and an endoscopy right away. It took a few days until we got the results, and when they called us back to the hospital, he sat my mom and me down and told me I had Crohn's disease. At first, I was really happy to finally have a name for what I had been suffering for all these years. But as the doctor began explaining to me what it was and what I need to do, I realized just how much harder life was going to be. For one, I had to give up my dreams of college and change everything about my life for this condition because Crohn's is a chronic inflammatory bowel disease that affects the lining of the digestive tract. Diet and stress can aggravate it. But it's still unknown what causes the condition to appear, and once you have it, it sticks with you forever. Some say that it is hereditary and environmental factors can contribute to the development of Crohn's disease, but no one really knows for sure. The way it works is every GI tract contains probiotic bacteria that help with digestion. The immune system usually attacks and stops bad bacteria, viruses, and other microorganisms from developing. Under normal circumstances, the harmless bacteria in the intestines are protected from such attacks. But people with Crohn's disease, harmless bacteria are mistaken for harmful invaders, and the immune system destroys it all. This caused my body to develop chronic inflammation, and in my case, diarrhea, vomiting, exhaustion, and my years-long intense stomach aches. To help me, I was put on what I can only describe as an antibiotic cocktail, taking more than 5 tablets 3 times a day. I felt like a zombie, and I couldn't go back to school because I had no energy to do anything except stay in bed. My days started to only consist of sleeping and getting up to use the restroom, and I couldn't even stand in the shower. I couldn't even focus on movies for too long without it being blurry, and I never felt hungry after taking the tablets. So I lost even more weight, dropping down to 90 pounds. And because I couldn't take care of my hair anymore, I ended up cutting it into a curly pixie cut, looking like my younger brother. My body had gotten so thin, I no longer had any curves. I hated how I looked and avoided my own reflection because every time I saw it, my body just reminded me of a Holocaust victim. At one point, while I was out with my family, a parent came up to me with their kid and started shouting at me saying,
"How dare you promote such extreme skinniness? You should be ashamed of yourself."
Hearing how awful I looked, I became so sad and didn't want to do anything and hated going anywhere, afraid of judgment. I hated my body for putting me through this, and sometimes I thought maybe everything would be better if I just disappeared. But something happened that changed my life. My high school sweetheart, who had been with me through everything, proposed to me and said no matter what happened, he wanted to be by my side. I said yes and wore the ring around my neck because my fingers were too small for it at the time. It was like a light bulb had switched on and I was going to fight this disease. It took a couple of months, but soon I felt strong again and decided that I would go back to school and finish my dreams of being a graphic designer. It has taken me years, but I have finally gotten my life in balance with my Crohn's disease, and while I still had to change medications a couple of times, I am finally in remission, married, and living happily. Thank you for listening to my story, and before I sign off, I just want to say that although my Crohn's disease showed itself in a pretty drastic way, not everyone with Crohn's will show in the same way. It is an invisible condition that is hard to diagnose, but just because they aren't visible, it doesn't mean that diseases like Crohn's aren't serious. I encourage everyone to never just assume what someone else is going through. You never know what silent battles they could be fighting. I hope my story brings a little bit more light on what it's like to live with an invisible disease, and that everyone will be a little bit kinder to one another.